Okay. Oh my gosh, Becca, we are here live. We've got a bajillion folks with us from all around the world. We have been ramping up for this moment with you guys for months, literally months.
hmm Yeah, and normally Joanne and I are just like totally geeking out about pricing stuff amongst ourselves. So the fact that we have all of you guys in this Zoom room with us to get started with all of this tonight is actually very exciting for us. And our
Very
goal really
exciting.
is just to help you feel more confident at the end of this and give you our 5 keys to confidence because we all struggle with it. And really, the
Mhm.
bottom line is that we want to make sure there's no more dropping your prices to get the job.
Yeah, no more dropping your
No
prices to
more.
get the job. That's going to be our mantra for the evening. Very cool. So, we do have a lot to cover. We're going to do our best to keep this hangout to around the 90-minute mark. But since it's live, we might get a little chatty. We might end up going overtime. So, who knows what is going to happen? I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of what you can expect over the next 90 minutes. So first, we're going to tell you who we are and why we are here.
But
We are
really, we'll keep
going,
that brief because we know that's not what you care about.
no, it's not what you care about. We're going to, of course, talk to you about the 5 keys to confident pricing. That is the gold. That's why you're here. And we thank you so much for coming. After that, true
Well,
story.
should we talk about what each of the keys are, or do you want to
Oh,
just do that later?
we can touch on them now for
All
sure.
right.
So ditch desperation. There's going to be some tough love moments here, but it's going to be worth it. I promise. Overcome undercharging. This is where we're going to tell you exactly how to position yourself within your market so you don't need to undercharge. The third key is knowing your numbers. So you should have received an email today with some worksheets. If you haven't been able to print those yet, definitely send the file to the printer now because you're going to want to follow along with the calculation I'm going to run you through in a little bit. If
Yeah,
for
so
whatever reason,
like just head to the happyevercrafter.com/rate. And even
yeah,
if you can't print them, just download them so you have them as a reference. But if you
yeah,
can't do any of that right now, if you're overwhelmed and you just want to stay in this call, that's fine too. Joanne's going to really run you through it on the slides. So it's not a huge deal. These are just
yeah.
really good reference for you for later.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely take the time to do this exercise when you watch the replay if you're not able to do it with us tonight. So number 4 is mastering your marketing. So this is how you present yourself to the market and how doing so properly directly affects how your clients accept you and your pricing. So we're going to give you some really sound marketing tips in this section, some really gold nuggets here. And then finally, it all comes together in the confidence cycle. And this is, again, just how we tie all of these keys together. And it's just like a big pep talk for you, really. Then, full disclosure, before we wrap up tonight, we're going to tell you about our full panic-free pricing e-course
Yeah, because
because
we actually just pressed live on a whole bunch of new modules in the course. This course has been around for a while. And actually, if anybody in here is a panic-free pricing student already, say holla in the group, like give us a hello, because
hey
if
Laura.
you guys are watching this, you have all the new modules in your course right now. So I mean,
Yeah,
don't leave the call.
do
Stick
not.
around for this. But when you're done, go check out your new module because there's so much good stuff in there, and it's all ready for you now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is the best update we've done in the 3.5 years since launching it in 2017.
Yeah, and so for those of you who are not panic-free pricing students already, we're going to tell you all about it, but
Yeah,
we'll give
and
you a
then you
little
will
bit on
be.
that later. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool.
Last but
Woo.
not least, before we can jump in, I want to just point out, because we have so much to get over in this workshop, please hold your questions to the end. You can be all loud in the chat, whatever you want, but we're going to miss it. So hold your actual questions to the end. And even if we go over 90 minutes, we're going to stick around and answer your questions. So don't worry about that. We will get to them.
Yeah.
Just hold them to the end so we can pay attention when you're asking.
Hmm.
Cool?
So
All right.
cool.
If you guys are ready to
Everybody,
get into it, drop us some like exclamation marks in the chat so we know you're still with us. This all makes sense.
yeah. We've
And we're
got
going to jump right in.
309 participants at the moment.
Amazing. Oh my God,
Amazing.
so many
Woo.
exclamation marks. Okay. So, first
Very
things
cool.
first, we wanted to go over who the heck we are and why we have authority to talk about pricing. So I am Becca. I think
Yay!
we know who we are by now, but I'm Becca, the Happy Ever Crafter on Instagram. Come find me over there. I'm always on there to a fault.
True.
And I learned calligraphy in 2015 from Joanne.
Yes.
And I got absolutely obsessed with it. And
2015. That's crazy.
yeah,
Like
so I got
6 years
absolutely
ago.
obsessed and I started practicing religiously. And then I got pretty good at it, and people started asking me to do little jobs for them. And I had no idea how to start. And I feel like that's probably a lot of you guys.
Hmm.
You're in the same shoes. But over time, I started doing jobs everywhere from little tiny one off things to full signage for weddings to giant murals for corporations, all the things in between. So that's a little bit about my experience with pricing.
Amazing. And I am Joanne, otherwise known as Joe Girl or Hey Joe Girl, just about everywhere. Yes, I taught Becca calligraphy. I started teaching workshops in early 2015. But before that, I launched my own graphic design business way back in 1992. I think if I have my math right, Becca was about one. Totally dating myself. But in the almost 30 years, I've quoted thousands of jobs from corporate logos to business cards to websites to annual reports. And then as my business transitioned into hand lettering and calligraphy, of course, I did all the same things Becca has been doing, from wedding place cards to murals and everything in between. So
Yeah, so we've both
yeah.
done lots of different jobs, but as an extra little, like, what do we know about pricing? We actually wrote an entire course on the thing. So Joanne and I together wrote this course because both of us teach people how to do calligraphy, and a lot of them get really good at calligraphy pretty quickly and then start getting asked for jobs and have no idea where to start. And they come to us and say, how much should I charge for this? How much should I charge for that? So we decided to write this course together. And again, I'm sure a lot of you are probably in that position too. So this course has actually been around for about 3 years, and we've revamped it a few times. We just revamped it again, as we mentioned today. It's all brand new stuff
Mhm.
in there today. But in January, we thought to ask our current students, which is over 2,000 people, what their number one struggle was with pricing. And so right now, all of you in the chat, I want to know what your guess is for what everybody's number one struggle was. I would say it was probably at least 85% of the people that we polled said this as their answer. Okay. Everybody's getting
Amazing.
it right off the bat.
Amazing.
And I mean,
Yeah, totally.
I'm glad you guys got the point. That's what this is for. So of
Yeah.
all 2,000 of our students, here's a screenshot of their actual answers.
Wow. So if you take a quick scan through those responses, you're going to see words like worth and value and scared and confidence. So obviously, we all can see what these responses have in common, right? Confidence. Say it with me, everybody. Confidence. Yes,
And guys,
everybody.
if you can relate to this, say me in the comments, because I
Yeah,
bet it's
for
probably all of
sure.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, or show us a hand. Look at them all. Woo! It's amazing. We're close to 400 participants, and
Cool. So,
apparently our
and the thing too
link.
is, remember that the people saying these are not people who have, not only people who have just started. These are students in our course. And so this is not just you feeling unconfident if you're a beginner. This is everybody, Joanne and I included. Confidence is
Yeah,
a huge,
totally.
huge problem. And that's
Yeah.
what we want to help you fix today. So the last thing before we really get into it is this
Wah,
big,
wah,
big,
wah.
bold disclaimer. Okay, so we want to be really clear that you can be the most confident person in the world, but your skills and your professionalism have to match that. So we're not
Mhm.
trying to tell you that you can just learn how to be confident and then go out there and get all the jobs you want, because that's actually going to be kind of damaging to our industry. If we have people going out there who are confident but don't have the skills to match, it's going to screw us all over, right? So make sure that at the end of the day, even if you feel really confident, that you make sure your skills are going to match. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more later. And even if you're a beginner, you're still in the right place. If you feel like your skills need to be practiced a little bit more, this is great info for you to learn right now. But again, we'll talk about this a little bit later. We just need to jump right into the actual 5 keys now, right?
Yeah, for
That's why you're
sure.
all
Let's
here.
go.
So
Let's
here's a
go.
little overview of all of them, but Joanne alluded to them earlier. I don't think we need to reiterate. I'm just going to let you jump right in with the first one, Joe.
Perfect. Okay, number one is ditch desperation. We have all felt that desperate moment where we don't want to lose that job. So if you're desperate for the job to pay your bills, that desperation is affecting your confidence. Let that sink in for a moment. So we've all heard variations of this concern all the time. I don't get many clients approaching me. So when I do, I don't want to price my work too high and risk losing them, right? Sound familiar? For sure.
Mhm.
Especially when you're just starting out, it's super tempting because you're so thirsty for that first job, the second job, the third job, maybe even the 10th job, that you continue to price too low just to get the gig, right? Well, when you do that, it reinforces the bad habits of pricing too low, which just subsequently feeds into that cycle. It just creates a negative cycle, and it's really difficult to get out of it. If
Yeah,
you
because let's say you drop your charge because one time you're feeling desperate, you need this money to pay your bills this month, so you drop your price. You have no way of knowing if that client would have paid more. So in your mind, you're like, okay, I dropped the price, I got the job, green check mark. And so next time you come to do it, you're going to be like, oh, I got to drop my price again because I need to get the job again. And it just feeds this cycle. And until you
Yeah.
break yourself out of that, you're going to be continuing this cycle of desperation.
Yeah, totally. So here comes a little bit of tough love for you if you are continually feeling this desperation, and you really need to take a cold, hard look at yourself and your motives for doing this work in the first place. So if you're finding that you're continually charging too low just to get the work, it might be an indicator that you want to secure some more consistent income to take care of those cost of living so that you can focus on building your business from a positive place so that you can focus on charging what you're worth for creative output, and therefore feeling a bit more relaxed about it. So get a job, a part-time job or your full-time job, or don't quit the job that you do have, so that that can take away all the stress about your bills, and then you would have that freedom to create and to charge what you are worth, and therefore continue to build that confidence around your business.
Yeah, this is if anybody listens to Sean West, Sean McCabe, he goes by both names, but he talks about this a lot. And he actually has a book called Overlap. That's a really good resource if anybody here is doing this kind of stuff on the side of their part-time job. It's
Mhm.
such a good idea. You'll feel so much more confident in your pricing if it doesn't have to feed your family.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And a lot of us too worry that if we price too high, that the clients are going to run out, the projects are going to run out. Nobody's going to come knocking on our door. So if you're worried that the money is just not going to come, then you might be suffering from a scarcity mindset. You might have heard that term before. And that's just bad thinking. It's foul thinking. It means you have some limiting beliefs around abundance and opportunity. So that just requires a mindset switch. And the sooner you can switch over to that abundant mindset, the sooner you're going to attract more quality clients and more quality projects.
Totally. Rayanne says she's legit taking notes like she's in high school. I love that.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, it's going to continue. That was only the first point. So next point,
Yeah.
overcome undercharging. So this to me is just, if you position yourself properly in the market, you're going to feel so much more confident naturally. If you are in the right slot where you belong, there's no reason that you should feel not confident in your pricing. And I'm going to explain what I mean. So undercutting. Let's talk about undercutting for a second. This is like what the whole point of us talking about pricing as artists is, so that we can all avoid undercutting each other and undercutting our industry as a whole. Undercutting essentially means that you are pricing low to get jobs, and you're not actually valuing the whole industry and thinking about the other people in there, right? And when you're a beginner, it's usually innocent. It's usually that you don't want to piss off the people who are higher up in the industry or have been there longer, who have more skills than you. But it can also be that you're pricing low because you think it'll get you more jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's such an opposite thing to what it actually is, because pricing low can actually make it just as hard for you to get jobs as pricing high would. And I'm going to explain how that comes into play. So you guys might have heard me, a couple of you might have heard me talk about this on YouTube. I did a video, like a full video about this recently, but it's all about positioning yourself. So let's say you're in a city that has 3 calligraphers who do similar work to you. So you're the 4th one in this city. And all 4 of those calligraphers are asked by a bride locally to quote on the same seating chart job. She's just kind of price shopping and figuring out who she wants to hire. So let's say all three of those other artists come in and they charge somewhere between $250 and $350. That all three of them land within that range. So the bride looks at that price and she's like, oh, that's probably pretty standard. Like that's probably, you know, the average for this kind of work. And then you, as a beginner, decide to quote really low because you're like, I need to get this job. I really want the experience. I'm going to do such a good job and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to nail it for this client. So I'm going to price really low so she'll definitely pick me. But when the client sees your price of $75 and everyone else
Yeah.
is pricing $250 to $300, what do
They're
they
like,
think? They're like,
what?
what's wrong with this
Things
person?
not right here. Yeah.
This person clearly doesn't understand what I'm asking them for, or this person doesn't know what they're doing, or, you know, whatever, insert
Mhm.
whatever kind of thought here
Yeah.
that would happen.
Like they've completely missed the scope of the project.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So, and then get this, because they're looking at you thinking all of these things, they are losing confidence in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're losing confidence, they're losing confidence in you, which makes you lose confidence because you don't get the job. So if you're really low, someone's going to look at you and think, I shouldn't hire them, they're too low.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it hurts you just as much as if you're pricing too high.
Mm-hmm.
So the caveat here too, though, is like, if you price really low, you probably will get some jobs because you'll get the bargain hunters, but you don't want them. We can just like, I'm not even going to get into that. You just don't want them. It's not the right person for you.
Yeah. They
So
are
if you-
always the nittiest, pickiest clients ever.
So if you can't price as high as the other people in the industry who have been doing it longer than you, or if you don't have the skills to match what they have, but you also can't go too low, what are you supposed to do instead? So what we recommend is you research the industry standards and you research the other people in your area. Because I just saw someone a minute ago ask about, you know, if you're in a really rural area, how do you go about this? Well, you can set the standard if there's no one else there. But if
Right.
there are other people in your area, you need to look into that. And in panic-free pricing, we talk a lot more about like how to actually look into this, and we tell you what the industry standard is, so you know where to start. But once you know that, you can match your skills to one slot in that average, right? So you're going to stay between the average, but you're going to put yourself where you belong based on your experience and what you can actually deliver. And that's the next important point, is like, if you know the industry standard, you know where you fit, you need to make sure that what you are offering as part of that industry standard, you can deliver on it. We're going to talk about this multiple times in here, but you need to be able to deliver. Otherwise, you're always going to feel not confident. So if you don't feel like you can deliver, maybe you shouldn't be charging yet. You can just keep doing work for free for your best friends, your mom, charities, whoever it is. All right. Basically, what this comes down to is making sure that where you've positioned yourself matches your skills. And if you can match those two things, you're going to feel comfortable where you are and you're going to feel confident where you are, because there's no reason that you should be questioned for what you're doing.
Woohoo! Key number 3, know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, like really know them, how can you possibly justify them? And we're not talking about justifying them to clients, because really it doesn't happen very often where a client wants to see your breakdown, but you also want to be able to justify them to yourself so that you can project them with confidence. And when we say know your numbers, it's not as simple as just like asking a colleague what they charge or pulling a number out of a hat or just picking a number based on your gut. It's really understanding your specific numbers, your needs, your income needs, your expense needs,
your own,
everything that is, your own specific numbers in order to create your personal hourly rate. So this is where those worksheets come in. If you have them printed, you want to get them handy and pick your favorite pen and just kind of set yourself up to get ready. So I'm just going to walk you through the general equation, and then we're going to work through the worksheet together. So the equation is this: we're going to pick your ideal salary number, and this is your net income. This is like your paycheck. This is not your sales from your business. This is what you personally end up with at the end of the day after you've covered all of your expenses for your business. We're going to add that number to your total annual expenses. So this is where your taxes come in and your expenses, like I said, studio rental, office supplies, materials, cell phone for your business. These are your business related expenses, right? And then we're going to divide that by the actual number of billable hours per year that you want to work. So by doing this math, you're going to figure out what your personal hourly rate is based on your income desires or your income needs and your expenses and the number of hours that you want to work each year. Make sense?
Yeah, so guys, Joanne's going to run through how to do this calculation, but make sure that even if you don't have these sheets in front of you, you're thinking about this, you're going through the motions with her so that you have the experience of having done these calculations and you can really easily do it for yourself later. Annabelle just asked if this is going to apply to part-time, and yes, it is. You're going to see exactly how this works.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So I've got my worksheets here. I filled them out with my dummy numbers. So again, these are hypothetical numbers based on somebody who maybe has a part-time job and they're just looking to create this as a side hustle, or maybe somebody who is starting out and they've decided to rent a little studio space. So that's how we're going to roll through this example. Okay, so I want my take-home annual salary to be. So I've decided, hypothetically, that I want to have a net income of about $2,000 a month from my calligraphy business. So that equals $24,000 a year. So again, this is my net income. This is after I've paid for all of my cell phone bills and rent and everything. This is what I call my frozen yogurt money. Okay. This is my
I laugh
money for
every time you say that because
I know
nobody.
it's so funny because I don't even eat frozen yogurt. I don't know where that came from, but I've been using it as my example for like 2.5 years or something.
Yeah, but to like really hammer this point home, this is the money that you get to keep. This is like your
Mhm.
paychecks to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna say $2,000 a month, 24 grand a year. Okay, so put in a number in yours or just follow along with my example if you want. But if you know a number or you just want to make one up, just pop it in there. Next, we're going to ballpark what your annual expenses will be. So, it's easier sometimes to start with your monthly expenses because you know what your cell phone is every month. And then, of course, multiply these numbers by 12 to get your annual. And again, if you don't know what your expenses are right this minute, just either use my examples or ballpark something, just maybe guesstimate something. And if you're really just, feeling overwhelmed with the math at the moment, definitely come back and do this exercise later as you watch the replay. So for my numbers in this example, I'm going to say I'm renting a little studio space at $400 a month, so $4,800, and the utilities are included. Awesome landlord. My internet is $50 a month or $600 a year. My cell phone is $40 a month or $480 a year. Office equipment like ink cartridges and label makers and stuff like that, $100 a month or $1,200 a year. Software and subscriptions, $1,200 a year. Website hosting, $120. I just want to clarify that if you're using something like Shopify to host your store, if you're selling products and your services that way, or maybe even workshops, those types of subscriptions, those types of website hosting companies, those rates are going to be higher. So in my case, I host on WordPress and I use WooCommerce. So I'm paying a host to host my website and I pay $120 a year for that.
Veronica asks if office equipment includes shipping supplies. I would say that, Veronica, if you have a lot of shipping supplies, I would put that as an other. If you if you can ballpark what shipping supplies are going to cost you per year, I would separate that out. There's no harm in having more separated items.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? These are the same categories that you need to submit to your accountant at the end of the year for your taxes. So it's really smart to set your business up with these categories divided anyway. So you have a really clear optical view of where your dollars need to go. Mm-hmm. Where are we at? Contractors and employees. Well, I'm just starting out, so it's not likely that I'm going to hire anybody to help out at this point. Legal fees. We talk about a product in Panic Free Pricing called, or at least a service called the Contract Shop. And I'm going to buy a pre-written contract template for $500. And it's going to cover me for years as long as I need it. I can adapt it. But that's a $500 expense.
This is a really good resource and we might talk about it later.
Okay, accounting fees. I'm gonna set myself up properly from day one, and I'm gonna pay a bookkeeper every month to balance my books, and I'm gonna pay them $150 a month, so $1,800 a year. I'm not quite ready to belong to any professional membership, so I'm gonna zero that out. Marketing materials like business cards and signs for craft shows and things like that. It's kind of conservative, but let's say $250 a year. Now taxes, this could be a confusing number for you because the taxes is what's got to come off your gross income. So that top value in your income statement is going to be your gross, like your sales. So every penny that you make in your business, that's the percentage from which your taxes are deducted. So I'm going to double my desired income, my desired net income, which was 24,000, and I'm going to round it up to 50,000, and I'm going to save 30% of that $50,000. It's probably generous. It's probably way more than I need to, but honestly, I would rather put more aside for taxes and have a little bit of slush fund after than not have saved enough over the course of the year. So that might look like a really big, scary number to you, but honestly, you will be happy to have set that aside over the year so that there are no surprises and it doesn't hurt to pay that tax bill.
So let's be
So,
like extra super clear. That
yeah,
$50,000 is everything you're going to make from your business.
yeah,
And that the
yeah,
earlier salary, it was 24,000, right, Joe?
yeah, that's my net. Yeah.
The earlier salary was what you get after you do all of these things.
Yeah, that's right. And you'll see how this equation comes together when we get to the next step. Insurance, workers' compensation, benefits, and healthcare. It's going to be different for me in Canada than maybe folks in the States or other parts of the world. So it really depends on what services, like we don't have to pay for healthcare specifically. So I don't need to include that in my expenses. But I do need business insurance and maybe disability insurance and life insurance and things like that. So let's put $600 a year for there. But of course, that's going to vary depending on your circumstance. And then, of course, in my other category, I had supplies because I need paper and pens and paints and canvases and whatever it is I need to do to create that product for the client. So I'm going to put 500 a month times 12 months is $6,000 a year in supplies. So the grand total for all of my expenses and taxes is $32,550.
Joe, just before we move on, I want to
Yeah.
address some people in the comments are asking pretty specific questions about how to categorize different expenses. Guys, the
Yeah.
goal here is just to list all your expenses, but if you want to know how to categorize them for taxes and for all of these things, talk to an accountant and a bookkeeper like up front, because I can tell
Yeah.
you I didn't do that when I started and it really screwed me over later. So the more
Yeah.
specific you can get and learn about the laws for your country and your state or your
Yeah.
province, wherever
Yeah.
you are, the
For
better.
sure.
But for this,
You
it's
just have
really
a,
listing out what your expenses are.
yeah, there's a quick question from Jimmy asking about business insurance, and that's really to protect you against any like, if you're on site, well, maybe it's a bit different, but like if you had a fire and your hard drive was lost or damaged, you would need insurance to be able to recoup, your lost content. That would probably be covered also in your homeowner's insurance as well. But
It really depends on your
it
business and
depends
where
on
you
your
are.
business. Yeah, but definitely talk to an insurance agent about what you need for your business. Yeah, specifically.
All right.
Okay, let's flip to the next slide where we start to calculate. Okay, so our total expenses, right, are $32,550. So now we need to look at, well, how much do we actually want to work in a year? So we know that a standard work week is about 40 hours Monday to Friday, and that there are 52 weeks in a year, but we don't want to work every single one of those hours, and we don't want to work every single one of those weeks. So for the sake of my example, I'm going to suggest, and your worksheet breaks this down if you're looking at your worksheets. I'm going to suggest that I want to take 4 weeks of vacation, two in the summer, 1 at Christmas time, and 1 for spring break. So that totals 160 hours of vacation time. I would like to have 5 paid days off for sick leave or appointments. So that's another 40. 9 of my Ontario paid statutory holidays. So that's 72 hours off. And that totals 272 hours that I don't want to be working out of those 2,080 workable hours each year.
And you can
Okay.
pick whatever you want for this for
Yep.
yourself. You're an entrepreneur now. You can have 10 weeks off if you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is one of those areas where if the bottom, if your figure at the end doesn't make sense, this might be one of those areas that you need to tweak to make it more realistic.
Mhm.
So if I take the total number of working hours in a year and subtract my 272, I end up with 1,808 hours that I'm willing to work. That's how much I want to work in my business. And then, so that 3125 is what we've calculated to be a rough estimate of your actual billable hours each day. So if a day is 8 hours long, you're not actually doing billable work for every single one of those 8 hours. You might be replying to emails, you might be traveling, you might be at, the art store picking up supplies,
Eating lunch.
any of those, like, not, yeah, eating your lunch, going to the bathroom, doing laundry, like whatever. You're not doing billable work for every one of those 8 hours. So we've calculated 2.5 hours a day that you are not actively billing for. Does that make sense?
So
So the
that's time that
total,
you're like you're working on your business and not in
yeah,
your business. So if you're a
exactly.
business owner, you understand what that means. There are times where you're not doing anything client related, you're working,
Yeah,
but you're like
yeah,
building your website or whatever.
right, exactly. So the formula for that is your total number of workable or willing working or billable hours, subtracting that 31.25%. So for me, it worked out to 565 hours. So my total number of billable hours per year is 1,243 hours. Is everybody able to keep up
And
with that calculation?
it's
Okay.
going pretty quick, but just a reminder,
Yeah.
everyone's going to have a replay. You have the worksheet. You
Yes.
can do this for yourself later too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So now we've got those three bulk numbers, and we can plop those into the overall formula. Okay, so here's the final math. So we've got our salary number, which is $24,000. We have our total expenses at 32,550, and you're like, what? Those numbers don't jive, because how can your expenses be more than your salary? But we've talked about that. And then we're dividing that equation by 1,243. So that's the number of hours we're willing to work. And when we've done that math, we end up with an hourly rate of $45.49. So does
Guys,
everybody understand
tell
where
us in the
that?
chat if you're doing your own math, tell us if it feels high or low, or if you think this
Yeah.
$45 feels high or low. Tell us
If
high
you
or
did
low.
your math, tell us what you got and if you felt if it was high or low or bang on. Yeah.
Debbie says hers was 49, the same.
49 pounds. Yeah, cool. I'm assuming you have some science behind that 2.5 hours of non-billable time. Well, it's experience.
Yeah, it's not really science, it's personal. So you can figure that out.
Yes,
Yours is
exactly.
different. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we've got a 30, a 35, a 40. Amazing. I'm super impressed with how many people have done the calculation.
All right, so
42. Amazing. Really cool. That's awesome. Good for you
next
guys.
part.
Yes.
How does it
How does
feel?
that feel? Oh my gosh. Yeah. How does that feel? Very cool. I'm just looking at the comments. Feels good, feels scary. Yeah, it could feel really all over the map. And sometimes you might need to tweak that number, right? You might need to tweak it based on how you feel about it. Although we're trying to challenge you to feel better about those higher numbers, but you also might need to tweak it based on a combination of more practical factors, like how experienced are you? If you've only been in the business for like 5 minutes, you might not feel comfortable or you might not feel adequately experienced to charge that higher hourly rate.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like full disclosure, we can tell you guys this in the panic free pricing course. We obviously encourage everybody to do this calculation for themselves, but we tell people, like, as a starting artist, if you've never done this before and you're just getting started, we don't recommend any lower than 30. So 30, if 50 or 45 or whatever you came up with feels really high, if you're a brand new beginner, 30 is pretty fair. It's pretty, like, it feels pretty low at the end of the day if you do the calculation and you realize how much of that you get to keep, but it's pretty realistic.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can always do the math backwards too, right? Like how, if that 45 feels weird, do the math backwards and see where you need to flex the other components in the calculation to make it, resonate better with where you're at.
One
So
question that just came up, Joe, sorry, is Ashton asked, just to clarify, if I'm quoting a job, that's the number that I'm charging per hour? And the answer is yes, with always mastering. It could be more if you're working on site. It could be It could be a totally different number depending on what kind of project you're charging, but that hourly
Mhm.
rate is always in the back of your mind.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, exactly. We go into like hourly rate versus other styles of pricing in depth in the course, and we're going to touch on some of those things later on when we talk about panic repricing.
Yep.
Other reasons to have to tweak that hourly rate might be what is the market average. So this is going to vary depending on where you live or your online audience, your online market. So what's the average? Like what is the industry standard for what you're doing in your area? And then, further to that, what are potential clients willing to pay? Have you done this kind of work in the past? And like, if you were picking up resistance from your clients, what were you interpreting their sweet spot as being?
Well,
Or
yeah,
can you
and like,
have,
what are they willing to pay in New York City versus what are they willing to pay in rural Montana? I don't know American
right,
states. I
exactly.
assume there's a rural Montana. Like, yeah, so
Exactly.
it really, like, that we get that question all the time, and it's valid.
Mhm,
Like, you have
mhm.
to use your brain in this instance. You have to do the math, but then also do the adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. Someone's asking, and I know we had this question before, and it's one that comes up a lot. For someone working part-time, will this hourly rate be good as well? Yes, we are specifically saying that this should be your calculation for your calligraphy business or your creative business. This has nothing to do with what you're earning from another job. Like, we want you to price confidently for your business, and you should not be pricing any lower or higher if you're getting income from another source. That is completely irrelevant.
Like, let's
This
say
is
Joanne and I were both painting, we both got hired to paint murals. And if I do it part-time and she does it full-time, should I be getting paid less than her? Absolutely not. So you need to
no.
still have your hourly rate that is in line with even people who are working full-time. That's
Mhm.
totally a different topic though, and we got to keep moving because we got
Yeah, we got to
some-
keep moving. I know we got to keep hustling here. Okay. And then what was your salary expectation? Was it realistic? So one of the easiest ways to massage that hourly rate is to go and tweak that salary expectation for your net income right off the top, right? So really take a good look at how much money do you actually need to have or want to have in cash at the end of every month. Maybe I don't need $2,000 a month, or maybe I actually need three. So that's another way that you might have to tweak your numbers based on your own personal situation, which is why it is, again, so critical for each and every one of you to do this math yourself based on your own exact scenario, right?
So you've got your hourly rate. We're getting a ton of questions about this, guys. I just
Yeah,
want to make sure
amazing.
you all need to understand that, like, this is the first time you've ever done this. You're just getting a base number right now, and you're going to massage it so that it makes
Mhm.
sense to you. And we also really want you to talk to an accountant and bookkeeper for the specifics for your business. It's really smart to do that right off the bat. Even just pay a bookkeeper for their time and pick their brain on things like this. It'll get you set up from the get-go for, a successful business. We got to
Mhm.
keep going though. So we've gone
Yes.
over knowing your numbers. You know your numbers.
Yeah.
Next one, mastering your marketing. I saw somebody at the start say they were really excited for this one. I think this
I
might be my
love this
favorite one
section.
too.
I think it's fine too.
Yeah.
Well, designer, right?
So guys, marketing sounds like a scary word for a lot of people, and maybe you're looking at it thinking like, what does that have to do with my pricing? But oh my God, so much, so much. Let me explain. So if
Mhm.
you, bottom line on this is, if you can make your client confident in you, you're going to feel confident, and you're not going to have to set, there's going to be no reason for you to second guess your pricing or not feel confident in it. So let
Mhm.
me explain a little bit more about what I mean. We're going to talk about these two examples. In scenario number one and scenario number two, you are Kate Smith and you're getting inquiries about your calligraphy service. Okay, so you are a calligrapher, beginner calligrapher, and these are two different scenarios. We're going to look at each one. So the first one, you're getting an email to your inbox, to your katesmith456@hotmail.com inbox. Okay, and the email says, "Hi Kate, I got your email address from my friend Sarah. She mentioned that you do calligraphy and I need some work done for my upcoming wedding. I couldn't find your website or any examples of your work on Instagram, and I'm not even sure you do this type of work, but I figured I would reach out and see. I have a budget of $300 and I'm hoping to get place cards, a welcome sign, and a seating chart. Please let me know your availability. Thanks." Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's break this down. First
Yeah.
of all,
What's wrong with this picture?
hotmail.com to me means that person is probably just like sitting in their apartment, having a glass of wine, like playing with their dog, and they don't actually have a business. Maybe that's not the truth, but that's what it looks like. It doesn't really look like you're an established business if you have a Hotmail email address. The next thing is this person is saying that they have no indication of whether or not you actually even take on these jobs. So if you do have an Instagram or you do have a website, it's obviously not easy enough to find. This client couldn't find you anywhere. They couldn't find any examples of your work, which, I mean, if you want to get hired for stuff, you need to be able to show people what you can do. And they have no idea, no expectations of pricing. So you now feel like you are starting on the wrong foot because you have to go back to that client who's thinking this is going to cost her $300 and tell her that it's actually going to be 3 times that. Of course, you're not feeling confident. That client is going to be so pissed that they only budgeted 300 and not 900, and they're going to be like, oh shoot, I can't pay that much. Like, so of course you feel not confident. You're starting off at a total disadvantage here. So Alexis says, wow, I feel attacked. she's playing with her dog and a glass of wine and has a Hotmail email address. Okay, listen up.
Yes, this is for you, girlfriend.
All right, so now let's talk about scenario number 2.
You're going to feel pumped up after this.
Let's say Kate Smith Calligraphy took this 5 keys to panic what is this called? 5 keys to confident
5 keys
pricing.
to confident pricing.
Let's say she took this workshop, she implemented a few things. Let's see the difference.
Yeah.
Now she's getting an email to hello@katesmithcalligraphy.com.
Amazing.
Which sounds like a business. It sounds like maybe she's sitting in a cute little office with a couple jars of beautiful pointed pens and she's ready to go. The email says, hi, Kate, I found your work on Instagram and I knew right away that you would be the perfect artist for my wedding calligraphy. Your work is gorgeous. I found some examples of exactly what I'm looking for, place cards, welcome sign, and seating chart on your website. And I saw your price list, so I have budgeted accordingly. I would love to see if you have availability for me in your calendar. Thanks. Okay. So you get an email,
amazing,
your professional email address. You've already attracted the right client who wants to work with you because your work is gorgeous, because she's seen examples on your website, she's seen examples on your Instagram, and she saw your pricing. So she's got the budget. The only reason she's emailing you is to put you in the calendar. She's not going to question your prices. You have no indication that she's going to say no. So of course you don't have to drop your prices. You don't even feel like you have to drop your prices because you know she's going to say yes. She's here to say yes to you. So not only do you feel more confident, but your client feels more confident in you. Yeah, because you look like a professional. This person's asking, is a client real? This is a made up scenario, but this is a real scenario.
It happens. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously scenario number 2 is the better option. Now, all of these things are not that scary to implement in your own business. And I just want to give you like a couple quick things that you should do. Number 1, get yourself a custom domain. So look up what that means, write that term down if you don't know what it means, but it essentially just means like go secure your corner of the internet. So mine is the Happy Ever Crafter. Joanne's is Joe Girl. You just look up whether or not your domain you want is available. And then number 2, once you've done that, you can set up your email to forward to like it can still be Gmail. It's just forwarding to an email address that has your domain in it. Okay. And if you can't do that, at the bare minimum, get a Gmail account and have it be katesmithcalligraphy@gmail.com, not just katesmith456. Okay. So make an indication that you have a business. Third part, showcase what you want to be hired for. So on your Instagram or on your website, make sure you're showing projects that you actually want to do. And make sure you're showing projects in general. Don't just be on there posting pictures of your dog and your wine, whatever you're doing tonight. Make sure you're posting what you want to get hired for. So if a client came across you, they would know they could hire you. And then number 3, set your pricing expectations. If you don't have a website and you don't have a price list, talk about it every once in a while on Instagram. You know, mention it in a caption here and there. Give some sort of expectation of how much you charge. So I'm going to show you an exact example from my website of how I accomplished every single one of these points on one page. Here's my website. At the top of it, I show the 3 types of projects you can hire me for. That's all I take on these days. You can click on one and it'll pop you down to the right part on the website that'll show you examples you can slide through of what I do. And then underneath it, I have a description of how I work with that kind of project. Beside it, I have a price list of starting at prices. So it gives you a ballpark that you can start with. And then underneath, I have a request a quote button that sends people to Becca at the Happy Ever Crafter. So that's all 4 points right there. Now, it took me a long time to get to this point on my website, but this is a good example. So then I have testimonials. And then at the bottom, I have that request a quote button. And I have all these fields you can fill out, but I also have a list of projects that I don't do. So I'm not going to get emails from people that I don't want to work with. Boom, all of the things accomplished here. Now, again, it took me a
Brilliant,
while
right?
to get a beautiful page like this. I had someone build
Mhm.
it. I didn't build it myself. It cost me enough money to get it done. And I didn't do that until I was more established. But you
Mhm.
can still have a website that has all of these things incorporated. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
fancy. As
And
long
it
as it
takes
gets,
confidence to create a page like this. Like it takes confidence to say, I don't want to do custom house illustrations, right?
right.
Because you might still be stuck in that scarcity mindset. Like, oh, I used to do them and they're kind of easy, right? But
Yeah.
so it's brilliant. It's such a brilliant example of like the perfect website. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, long story short, with marketing, there are tiny, tiny tweaks that you can make that will signal your professionalism to a client and make your client confident in you. And if your client's confident in you, there's no reason you shouldn't be confident. There's no reason you should drop your prices. There's no reason you should be questioning your worth. The client wants you, period. Cool. Okay, that's marketing in a nutshell.
Amazing. Do you feel more pumped up now about your marketing and how you present
Yeah,
yourself to
yeah,
the
yeah.
world?
Give us
Awesome.
exclamation marks. I love marketing. It's like my favorite. You can
Yes.
probably tell.
Yeah, awesome. Very good. Okay, so the fifth key, of course, keep cheering us on in the comments. It's awesome to see how you guys are feeling. It's fun to see them scrolling by as we chat. So the fifth key, of course, is bringing it all around to the confidence cycle. So confidence is cultivated. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Once you get that cycle going, you're in there, you're good, you're solid. The more confidence you have, the more confidence you will have. Let's say it again. The more confidence you have, the more confidence you will have. It's just as simple as that. But you got to dive into the confidence cycle and then stay there. So, first off, you're going to stick to your guns and make that confidence pricing decision on that very first quote or your very next quote. If you've already been in the game for a bit, on your very next quote, like stick to your guns,
Pump
make that
yourself
confident.
up, make one
Yeah.
good
Woo,
confident
woo.
decision.
That's going to help you to attract and be hired by the right awesome client for the right awesome project. And then in getting that client and getting that project, you're going to feel validated and confident that your pricing model works. You don't have to be afraid of pricing too high anymore because it actually worked. And that's going to get you pumped up again. Your confidence and your professionalism is going to continue to attract more awesome clients, more awesome projects. And then again, you stick to your guns and make even more confident pricing decisions. So you continue to pump yourself up at every stage in the cycle. And as long as you stay in there and you don't trip yourself up by making a goofball, really lowball quote, and then you enter that negative mindset again, you are good to go. You are solid. So it's kind of like, I'm sure you've heard the expression fake it till you make it. It's
Okay.
kind of like that,
I thought you were gonna say that. but, but
I
I'm gonna
yeah.
play devil's advocate here with that fake it till you make it conversation, because like we talked about earlier with that other slide that had the big red disclaimer on it, I have a love-hate relationship with faking it till you make it, because
Yeah.
especially in this case, you have to only fake the confidence. You can't fake the skill. If you
That's
fake the
right.
skill and you end up in this cycle, the same cycle we just talked about, it's actually going to work against you. Because let's say you're really confident in your skills and you attract an amazing client who's willing to pay you a really high price, and then you can't deliver on it, they're going to be pissed and they're going to let you know they're pissed. And then
Yeah.
that's going to tank your confidence. Right. And then next time you go to quote a job, you're going to remember that that one didn't go very well. So I should drop my prices, and you're going to fall out of that cycle. So you have to make sure that your skill matches your confidence. Otherwise, the cycle is going to work against you.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that can not feel great is if you know that you charge too high for a project, like you feel like you've kind of pulled the wool over your client's eyes. That feels crappy too, and then that could cause you to kind of downward spiral a bit. So like the closer you can get to that ideal hourly rate, and so that you can always quote with confidence and accuracy, man, your confidence is just going to be like, mwah.
Yeah. So don't fake the skill, but fake the confidence to get yourself into that cycle.
Yeah, it won't take long. It will not take long.
Okay. We threw a lot at you. That was all 5 things. What are we at? 7:50. Okay, we've done 50 minutes to get through the 5 things. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, what we talked about already, and we're about to give you even more. Number 1 was ditch desperation. Realize if you feel like you need to drop your price because you need to put food on the table, that you should be reassessing the situation. Number 2, overcome undercharging. So position yourself properly so that you're comfortable with where you are in the market. Number 3, know your numbers, like really know your numbers. Number 4, master your marketing. Just make those tiny little tweaks that are going to make you look like a real business owner and make the client confident in you. And number 4, understand that this is all a cycle, and all you need to do is get yourself into that cycle, and then you're golden. But
Amazing.
as we were writing this, and you guys might have seen my Instagram story this morning. I was like, Joanne and I both had ideas in the shower that we wanted to add. So we added like a speed round of more tips for you. So make sure you have a pen, because these are going to go fast and you're going to want them because they're quick hitting tips. Okay. Number 1.
Yes. Number 1.
I hit the switch button. There we go.
Speed round. Bam. Develop your own style. Make it so that nobody else can do what you do. So this is your own unique creative style, right? So that the client, when they compare your work to everybody else's work and they see that they want your style, they can only go to you. It automatically disqualifies everybody else on the playing field so that the client wants your work and can only go to you for that work.
And they can't question what you're charging for it because you're the only one who can do it for them.
Exactly.
Okay. Number 2, stop assuming what the client will think is expensive. This is your own money mindset. I have a different opinion of what's expensive than Joanne does, than Joe Blow down the street. And we all know what people say about assuming, right?
What do people say about assuming?
I don't need to say it. But seriously though, like stop putting your own assumptions on what the client's going to think is expensive, and don't drop your prices to what you think you would pay. It's not about what you would pay. It's about what they would pay.
Exactly. All right, speed round number 3. Stop fixating on what didn't work in the past. If you got a no previously, again, that was a them thing, not a you thing. The client has their own reasons for saying no to your proposal. It's not about you. They had some other thing going on, or they just weren't meshing with what you were offering for whatever reason. Don't personalize that. It has nothing to do with you and your value.
Yep. And lastly, stop charging and thinking about only your costs. Start thinking about your value. Okay. So this is like that old metaphor. I don't even know where it came from, but like it costs an electrician $1 to actually cut the wire and come in and do that. But it costs $500 for him to know which wire to cut. Like you have value as an artist, and you can charge for that value. You don't only have to charge for the price of the pen and the price of the paper. You need to charge for the value that you're providing as a service, because the person coming to you cannot do it themselves. Boom.
I love that. Boom.
So
how's everybody feeling?
Yeah, how's everybody feeling? Tell us if that was like, whew, we hit you with a lot of stuff all at once. Okay, good.
Good. Mic drop. Boom. Yeah, good. Stressed.
All right, guys.
It's okay. It's a good stress. It's a good stress.
It's stressed, but it's going to be, happy stress in the end.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you need that discomfort to initiate change, right? So this is healthy stress for sure.
Totally. Now, here's the thing, and I've seen this come up a few times in the chat, is like, okay, I feel confident. I can back myself up. I'm like pumped up, and I know you guys are all behind me, but like, I still don't know how much to charge for a seating chart. I still don't know how much to charge for a custom greeting card if somebody approaches me. And let's be real, that's like a huge piece of the puzzle, right? So you're sitting there being like, okay, but what about the actual prices? What about the actual
we missed a speed round. You just flipped past it.
Oh shoot.
A bonus speed round. And this one's actually really important. A bonus speed round. If you're getting 50% more or more yeses to your proposals, it's time to raise your rates. So this is a rule of thumb for just about any industry. It's one you hear a lot as an entrepreneur, as a self-employed person or a freelancer. If you're putting out 100 quotes and 51 of them are coming back yes without any negotiation, without any hesitation from the client, it's time to raise your prices. Bottom line. There's another mic drop for you.
Okay, the actual mic drop.
Sorry to interrupt, Becca, but this was a good speed round that we needed to include.
Yeah, okay. But back to my point,
along.
Being that you're sitting there being like, okay, I'm confident. but what about the actual numbers? I still don't know how to price, unless you're already a student of panic-free pricing. But if you're not, that's literally
Dun,
why
dun,
we wrote this
dun.
course. And this is us like casually being like, okay, now we're switching into telling you about the course, because really, like, you can be as confident as you want, but if you don't actually understand how to price calligraphy and lettering jobs, you still don't know where to start, right?
Yeah.
So actually, guys, if you are a panic-free pricer, say what's up in the comments. We want to know who's here. We know, like,
Yeah.
we literally wrote
Yay,
this
Debbie.
this confidence class was made for you guys, because you guys told us this is what you were struggling with. Oh my God, there's so many of you. Hey,
Nice.
love it.
Hi.
Okay.
So cool of you guys to come to show up. That's awesome.
Okay. So
Get them all. Amazing.
we literally wrote this course for beginner letterers and calligraphers who have no idea where to start with their prices. They're just generally afraid to go too high, too low, totally screw it up, maybe do something illegal. That's how I felt in the beginning. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, so we're going to walk you through actually what's in the course. We'll go through this pretty quickly so you guys have an overview of what's in here. But if you're like me, you're probably like, okay, I want the page up beside me. So if you want that as you're going through this with us, just go to panicfreepricing.com and everything is there. And you might notice this little cute red thing on here that says $100 off. I want to be really, like, we're going to talk about this more in a second because there's more to this story. But I want to be really clear that this is not a forever $100 off. This is a really time sensitive thing. So again, we'll talk about that more in a second, but I think we should just show you guys what's inside if you've never heard of it.
Yeah, for sure. And don't forget, stay with us because we've got at least one giveaway coming up. Okay, so what is panic-free pricing? Well, in a nutshell, it's an online course we hosted over on Teachable, so it's super user-friendly. It's instant lifetime access to videos and a workbook. The workbook is downloadable and printable. We highly encourage our students to print it and keep it like at their desk, under their pillow, coffee table, wherever it needs to be. It's 118 pages full of amazing goodness. And it's also an exclusive private Facebook group called Panic Free Pricers. A lot of you guys with us tonight are members in that group, so thanks for being here. But we currently have over 1,700 students in that Facebook group, and they're all there to share their experience and to share peer support for pricing questions and just kind of scenarios and stuff. So it's a really robust course full of lots of wisdom. Yeah.
But just before we continue, lots of you asking questions specifically about the course. Just we're gonna get into it right here, so you'll see. And if you still have questions, we'll answer them at the end. But I love this. Debbie said it sits next to my work desk. Yara said I used that workbook in my grad paper. I love it.
Amazing. The Facebook group is so supportive.
Yeah.
The Facebook group alone is worth the value. The community is awesome, helpful, and very active. Amazing. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so a little more about what is included.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, cool. So the workbook is actually 118 pages. We've added so much to it. So for those of you who are current students, you'll see when you jump out of here and go and check it out, we've added a lot of stuff. So it's just incredible. There's over 2 hours, actually probably more than that, of video. Becca and I refilmed a bunch of video this year, and you can see our cute little faces there in the screenshot. We walk you through most of the material in the book with case studies and more examples and just like funny stories that we share. There are actual calculations. So the hourly rate calculation is in there, but also several other calculations just to help you further needle down your rates. There are full price list cheat sheets for just about every segment of the industry. So from weddings to commercial work, to murals, to windows, signs, personalized gifts, creating your own typeface. There's a section on licensing. Like, it's bonkers how much information is in here and actual numbers that you can use to balance out where your minimum starting rate should be. So it's really brilliant. There are examples of our own work and how much we charged for that work. We also have other collaborators who helped write some of the other more specialized sections in the course. And they've also shared with us and with you guys samples of their work and what they charged. Some of our examples are from when we first began working out. And so you'll see how our pricing evolved over the course of our own businesses to what we charge now. And finally, and this is a new thing for this edition, is a swipe file. This is so cool, you guys. Like, this is like, we are the most excited about this addition to the course. It's actual copy and pastable Becca and I have been debating over whether pasteable is a word, but we're going to say that it is. Replies to tricky client inquiries. So you're going to be able to log into your student account. If you get a weird customer inquiry asking about some obscure thing, you can go to your account and find that response and copy and paste it into your email, customize 2 or 3 fields, bam, you're good. You don't have to feel that weird, awkward sensation about, oh my gosh, how do I reply to this? So it's right in the course, ready for you to use anytime you need it.
Yeah, so basically here's a screenshot of the table of contents. This is what makes up the course. And you'll notice that I've drawn this little line here and I wrote, this is how to price. So the whole course is about how to price, like exactly what goes into building up your prices, all the factors you need to consider, all the mindset stuff, all the fundamentals, like literally learning how to price from the ground up. But then there's also what to price. So again, like Joanne said, there's a whole section on the actual numbers. This is the part everybody wants, but it's just a tiny little component of the course. It's like a long component. It goes into each of these sections. And I'm going to talk about this more in a second, but like the whole course teaches you the how, and this one section teaches you the what. So that's like the part you're going to flip back to every once in a while. Every time you get a quote, you're going to go and look at those charts, but the rest of it is the foundations behind pricing. So it's not just like a one and done, you get the lists and you never do any work. It's like you get in, you really learn about your pricing fundamentals, and then you know exactly why you've priced the way you have, which will make you confident. Okay. So those are the modules. I'm going to talk you through quickly what each one is. Number one is mindset and fundamentals. So you're literally nailing down what your pricing goals are and why, so that you know all of these things and why you're building the prices you are. Are you a side hustle? Are you a full-time business? What's your business model? What about your competition? Where do you fit in? All those things. Part two is knowing your worth. Again, we just went through the hourly rate, but there's more about that in the book. Understanding your minimum charge, which I saw somebody ask about earlier. Someone said, what if you don't work a full hour? That's where the minimum charge comes in. Like, we talk about all of this in the course. Yeah. And then understanding when to use your hourly rate, when not to use your hourly rate, when to charge by the project, when to charge for value-based pricing, all the things. Really, really understanding your numbers. Part three, we couldn't even fit all the stuff on the table of contents that's in part three, but it's literally a list that you can use as a checklist every time you get a quote or you have to give a quote. You can go use it as a checklist. It lists all the factors, all the considerations that you need to think about that build up your course. So like shipping, is it custom work? Is it reproduced work? Is it, you know, all the things. And we have a whole paragraph about each one and how to deal. Part four is the fuzzy stuff where Joanne and I get a little fired up when we talk about discounting, friends and family discounts. These are the things that when you're a beginner and someone approaches you, you have no clue how to deal with them. So I was
trying to get Becca to change the name of this section to the F word stuff, but we settled on fuzzy.
Yeah. So we talk about all of this in the course and in the videos, but then we also have the swipe file for those exact tricky questions that you could just take our wording and use them. Okay, this is the part everybody likes. The part five, this is the what to price. So you can see here all of these different types of lettering. I saw somebody say they were concerned that this course was only about wedding lettering. That is not the case. So wedding lettering is one piece of all of this. Okay, you've got lots of different types of projects. We tried to incorporate all the different things you could be asked for as a beginner calligrapher or letterer. And in here you have the actual cheat sheets. We've even dog-eared them so you can quickly find them in the book. And it's got a minimum price list for you for what you should start with at a minimum, and then a list for you to put in your own pricing here as you build your own price list. Then we have pages and pages of our own examples and exactly how much we charge for them. So that is part five. Part six is how to write an estimate, how to write contracts, and how to write an invoice, and literal examples of ours and what exactly should be on all of them. Christina Scalera, who's an attorney who wrote that contract we talked about earlier, wrote the contract section for us. So you know it's legit. You know that you are including what you need to on your contract because an attorney wrote it. This is the scary
and these thumbnails for the estimate are actually, it's actually from, like, that is actually a screenshot from my bookkeeping software. So it's not just a pretty thing that I made up in Illustrator. That's actually what I use for my estimates. So
the swipe file is part seven. This is an example. So literal copy and paste stuff. We've explained this a few times, but it's just a list of things you can take from us. These are the exact words Joanne and I use to talk to our clients and deal
Yeah,
with.
there's probably like 5 pages of these in the book, and we've also created them in the course so that you can actually copy and paste them. Like it's actual live text in the module on the Teachable platform. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have an actual, like I have a software that I use where I plug in all of my answers and you can have a little snippet. So when you answer emails, you can just type 2 letters and the whole thing will pop up and you can just answer the question. It makes it so easy. And I
Yeah,
think
we link to that tool in the resources
yeah,
section of the course as well. Yeah.
you guys are going to love this part. And we're planning on adding to this and also adding to part 8 FAQs as things
Yeah.
come up. They're going to be a work in progress. So you know they'll only get better over time and you will get all the updates if you purchase. Okay. So part 8 is the FAQs. This is stuff that beginners ask that didn't really fit perfectly in any of the other sections, but we knew we had to cover. So like, how do you know when to increase your prices? What should my refund policy be? Little things like that that are FAQs.
Yeah. Someone's asking if the contracts work in the USA as well. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Part 9, resources. We are not the be all end all for pricing advice. We have a lot of really good resources that we can point you to. So we've curated a really good list for other things that we would point you to. And then part 10 is confidence, baby. So literally like everything we talked about in this course is all going to boil down to confidence. We're giving you a pep talk. And then we have like a little checklist for you to go through and make sure that you agree with all of these things and you're feeling good at the end of
the
the
confidence commandments.
Yeah. For everybody asking if the contracts would work, blah, blah, blah. We're not giving you a contract in the course. We're giving you what should be in your contract. So you're still going to write your own unless you want to buy the contract.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So for all of that, the course, the swipe file, the Facebook group, the ebook, the videos, everything, regular price is $397 US. We told you guys that we were going to give you a deal, and we're going to give you a deal. So for the next 48 hours only, you can get it for $297.
Amazing.
So, I mean, you guys knew there was a discount coming. We already told you about it, but you didn't know that it was only going to be for 48 hours. So it's only for 48 hours.
Yeah. Strike while the iron is hot. Thanks, Bella.
You can see more like things about what our past students have said, and you've probably seen them in the chat because the panic-free pricers are loud and proud and I love it. But here are a couple that are unbelievable. Like panic-free pricing answered all of my questions, and even a bunch that I didn't even think of. I love that one. But again, you can see more of these on the website if you want to, panicfreepricing.com. But let's be honest, there's probably 2 types of people watching right now, right? There's the Beccas or there's the Joannes. The Beccas are like, listen, lady, you don't need to talk to me about this anymore. I'm in. I already probably bought it. Like I probably had it open in a separate tab and I'm already all over it. And then there's the Joannes who are like, I have 500
I'm
questions.
going to need some more information. I have some questions. I want to make sure that it pays for itself and that I'm making the right decision.
Okay, guys, tell us in the comments, are you a Becca or are you a Joanne? But we're going to address a few more things before we wrap this up and get to the question.
Becca, Joanne, Becca. It's even.
I love it.
Okay, so awesome.
So
thanks, everybody. It's so good.
We're going to touch on a few more things. The first question we often get about this course is, okay, but I'm not in North America. My prices are different. Do you guys remember at this, like when I started talking about this course, I showed you this slide where I said, this is all how to price and only this one part is what to price. So all of it is still relevant no matter where you live, especially the how to price. So the whole course explains to you how to build your price. And then in this part where we have the real numbers, if you're not in North America or if your cost of living is not comparable to North America, all you're going to do is take the information we've given you on the how, and you're going to adjust it for your own currency. Okay, so you can still build your own price list and you can still see what our minimums are and do those conversions and then adjust it for your cost of living. Question number 2. I'm way too new at this. I don't even have any clients yet. Joanne, what would you say?
There's a question in the comments exactly asking this right now. Like she's worried. She's wondering. It's from Julie. Oh no, I lost her.
It's from Annabelle. I'm still a beginner artist. Is this overwhelming if I'm in the hobby side hustle stage?
Exactly.
Okay. The answer is, oh my God, even better. You're going to miss so many of the questions that you like, or so many of the mistakes.
You're going to step over all the mistakes. Like, yeah, exactly. You're going to avoid making those mistakes that you would have made without this if you don't set your business up to succeed from day one.
Totally. Okay,
Yeah.
what about I can't afford $297? Well, have we got a deal
Well,
for you? Like an infomercial.
exactly.
No, but really, if $297 feels like a big chunk for you to bite off all at once, we also have a payment plan available. So if it feels more realistic for you to be able to do 3 months at $99 a month, totally fine. We're okay with that. We want to have you in the course. And if price is the
Absolutely.
limiting factor, we're eliminating that factor for you.
Yeah.
What I do want to touch on is this next one, which is, will this actually pay off? And that plays
Yeah, this is
into,
a
can
big
I
one.
afford the $297? You can definitely afford the $297, and let me show you why. Let's pretend that you used to charge $50 for a sign like this. Okay. Then you take panic-free pricing and you know that you should really be charging $200. So panic-free pricing just made you $150. And if you go ahead and do that twice, you've paid for the course.
Bam.
Boom.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's just
Boom.
a small example. So now let's talk about a bigger example. If you used to charge $150 for this sign, and now you know to charge $450, panic-free pricing literally just paid for itself in one job.
Amazing.
Yeah, guys. And if you don't believe me about all of these FAQs, these are two real. I saw Marie in the comments. I don't know if Winnie's here, but if you are, Marie, say hi. Winnie, say hi. These are
Marie's
real,
right there. Hi.
Yeah.
Nice.
These are real testimonials. Marie said she wished she had purchased this sooner because it would have helped her avoid costly mistakes. And that's what we just talked about, where if you're a beginner and you're not sure, it's going to help you avoid the mistakes. And Winnie talked about how it pays for itself in the additional money that you would make just by following the guidance. So those are both the things we just talked about, real students attesting to that for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And then lastly, and this might sound really cheesy, but it's the truth. Like, what is peace of mind worth to you? It's actually kind of priceless, right? Like, having this resource at your fingertips, you can access the course anytime at your own pace. You have lifetime access to it on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, on your desktop. You can print out the workbook and have it beside you at your desk, like Debbie said earlier, right? She's always got it within reach, so that anytime you get a client inquiry or a request for a proposal, you can go through the checklist, go through the price list, go through our examples, and you've just got all the answers right there. And if the book doesn't have the answers or the course doesn't have the answers, you've got access to all of those folks in the Facebook group for that peer support. And it is crazy how much action is in that group, and they're just cheering each other on. It's really a beautiful thing to see. And you know what? We have a money back guarantee. So if you get in there and you poke around and you really don't think this is a good fit for you, first reach out to us and see if somehow we can help you sort it out. But if you just think it's not meshing with where you want to take your business, within 7 days of enrollment, we will give you 100% of your money back. Because honestly, we don't want your money if you're not a good fit for the course. Like, we don't want to.
We just showed you all these amazing testimonials from our students. You don't get testimonials like that from having students who aren't happy with the course. Like, we literally don't want you in there if it's not going to help you. We don't want your money. So we're not trying to scam you. We know this is a good course. And if it's not, we'll give you your money back. No question.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the slide you need one last time. The link is all down below this video. If you want to get in on this, again, you only have 48 hours and it's going to be $100 off. So for all of that stuff, the videos, the workbook, the group, the swipe file, the FAQs, the
amazing.
All of it. You got 48 hours. The link's down below, but we're also going to send you an email with a coupon code for you that you can use directly later. And I mean,
go for it.
All right. With that,
very cool.
We are officially
amazing.
Guys, give us some exclamation marks or something to tell us that you learned what you wanted to learn from this workshop. We really hope it's helpful for you.
Amazing. And don't forget to share your screenshots from the webinar or your experience with the webinar on Instagram, and tag the Happy Ever Crafter and Hey Joe Girl too, so we can go and thank you for being here and to cheer you on and to see what you've been up to.
Cool it with the exclamation marks, because now is the time for you to enter your questions. This is going to probably blow up pretty quick, so we're just going to pick what we can. And again, if you buy, you're going to get in that coaching call with us. So if you know you're doing that, maybe hold your questions for then so that we can get to as many as we can now. But
There's
make sure.
actually a field, Becca, are you seeing it on your end, that there are 31, there's a Q&A field outside of the chat with a 31. If you scroll, hover over your control panel, you should
Yeah,
see
I
a
can
Q&A.
see it, but for some reason I can't open it.
Okay, I clicked on it and I got a pop-up window here.
All right, first question I'm seeing, guys, if you have to hop off, no
Yeah.
problem. We're gonna send you the replay to this because we know we gave you a ton of information. You will get that tomorrow in your inbox. But really, before we answer any questions, we just want to make sure we say thank you to all of you for showing up, for sticking
Thank
around
you
to the
so
end.
much.
We put so much effort into this, and we really hope it was helpful for you, because
we actually maxed out the number of slides that the presentation software could handle. So there were 100 slides in this presentation. So thanks for sticking with us, and we really hope that you got a lot out of it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to scroll up a little bit to find some of these questions.
So you can't see these Q&As, the specific Q&As?
No, but if you can, you go from those ones.
Yeah, I can. I'll just kind of scroll through them.
Okay. Kelly said, where does a captain keep his army? I know where he keeps it. In his
sleevey. Very good. Very good. Okay. Somebody, Lydia O'Donnell, is saying, while I do wonderful work, nobody knows who I am. I post an Instagram, but I don't have the money for a website.
Well, okay. Right off the bat, the money for the website thing, you do not need an expensive website. Like Joanne said, WordPress it's free, right, Joe?
WordPress is free, but you do need a service provider to host it. But like I said, I mean, I use a company in Canada, but I think it's pretty like GoDaddy, right? Is a classic example of a website host. And it really is like $10 or $12 a month. And the good thing about that is that that's a business expense. So you can keep track of those receipts. And at the end of the year, you can use those as deductions on your income, and you can actually get a bit of that back.
I see another question here that says, should we charge hourly for live event lettering? Do we need contracts for workshops and live event lettering? So for live event lettering, yes, you would charge hourly, but your hourly rate for a live event or something on site, so a live event, or if you're doing a big window or a big mural, your hourly rate is generally double what it would be for your in-studio hourly rate, which is what we calculated earlier. So if you are doing jobs that require you to be on and presenting and performing, or just doing things under pressure and you have to put pants on to go to them, that's my rule, then you're charging twice that much. And yes, the second part of that question, you do need contracts.
Yeah.
You really should have contracts to protect yourself, I should say.
Andrea is asking, one of her biggest questions is, how do you price a job if it only takes 20 minutes to do?
Okay, so we addressed this big time in panic-free pricing. Yeah. But the long story short of it is that you will have a minimum charge, and your minimum charge is sort of like, you know, sometimes with different companies, you'll hear setup fee. It's like that. So it's making sure that you're making at least your hourly rate if you have to do a project. So let's say somebody came to you and wanted a one hand lettered mug, and you normally would charge $15 for a hand lettered mug, but it's not actually just that $15. It's the amount of time it took you to communicate with the client, to go get the supplies, to set up your workspace, to tear down your workspace, all those things. So you have a minimum rate, and you would say to your client, okay, I can do that mug for you, but my minimum rate is whatever it is, $50. And the client's like, well, that's a lot for a mug. And you're like, okay, yeah, but if you want more than one mug, I'm not going to charge you that minimum again, right? So the price of that mug is included in your minimum rate, but you're at least making that minimum, like a startup fee.
Yeah. Yara said she had a weird story. Her cousin asked her to create a cake top decorator and for a little party. So she set a price and the cousin approved it right away. They went to the party, and her mom, so Yara's mom, the creator of the cake topper, looked at it and said, "You charged this much for that little thingy?" Good old friends and family.
This is the fuzzy stuff.
This is the fuzzy stuff. Yeah, for sure. And this is where you need to be really confident with your pricing. This is, you know, family feels that they have, you know, permission to kind of like, sidestep manners and, criticize or comment on things that you may choose to do, or how you choose to price for them. But just stand your ground. Responding to family inquiries shouldn't be any different from responding to, your average, John Doe who's asking about a cake topper. So
Honestly,
yeah,
my answer to that, if someone said you charged this for that, I'd just say, yep.
Yep. Yep, I did.
Yep, I did.
And the client
You know,
paid
that
it too.
sounds like it sounds like it's really hard to do and you have to be pretty confident to do that, but that's the only answer that's valid there.
Yeah. I think the swipe file responses to the friends and family inquiries are like the most valuable swipe file responses, in the whole thing. Like they're brilliant.
Chris said, do you
Okay.
include the time you plan a project in your pricing? Yes, big time.
Absolutely. It's
Charging,
kind of part of your setup fee or your in studio time. Yeah, for sure.
We talk about that a lot, but yes, it's included. If you're doing design for a certain project, like if you're doing sketches and stuff, that is absolutely included.
Yeah. Do you time yourself while doing different projects to set a baseline for different projects? This was from Marquita. And yes, absolutely. If you don't know how long something's going to take, that's exactly how you figure it out. You time yourself doing a few variations of that and see, if you need to kind of condense that time, you can see where you can kind of shave some of those minutes or hours off. But it's a good thing to do every once in a while to keep, just to make sure that your time estimate is in check with your pricing.
This is a good scenario. Melissa said, I had a day of cancellation for an outdoor menu wall, received a text 3 days later explaining they couldn't afford the job, even though I had worked on this job for a month. Do I accept the job if they reach back out? So a couple things here, Melissa. Number one is that you should not be doing any work on a project for a client until you've received a 50% deposit, non-negotiable. You get that payment for the first 50% before you do any pen to paper. Okay, so that's tough love number one. But number two, your question specifically, like, do I accept the job if they reach back out? That's a big maybe for me. It depends on the circumstance of how they reach back out, if they're apologetic, if they are willing to pay for it this time, and absolutely you get them to pay up front.
Yeah, 100%. Like, for sure. Yeah. Would the course help with printable documents and sticker pricing? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still stuff that you are creating. It's still your creative energy, your time, talent, skills, supplies. Absolutely, 100%. Dana Stone was asking that.
I'm just reading Jen A's joke. Why do birds have feathers? To cover their butt quacks. I'm so glad we told people to put jokes in here.
Jokes, yeah, totally. I just want to give an overall answer to the question. If you've already purchased panic-free pricing in the past, do you have to buy it again? No, absolutely not. If you purchased it from the very first day in September 2017, you are grandfathered in and you already have the updates in your Teachable student account. So you can go and check those out later tonight.
Okay, here's a really good question, Joanne. Meg said, how do we know if our calligraphy skills are ready for payment, like ready to get paid for? I'm afraid to pull that plug.
Well, one of the most telltale indicators is when somebody asks you, how much would you charge me to do that? If somebody asks you to create something, then you know you're ready. Yep. Another way would just be to kind of, look at other people in your industry's level of skill and kind of see what they're doing and compare your style or your skill to theirs. And, if you're, they're the number one way is as soon as somebody asks you, you're ready.
Yep.
But nobody's going to ask you if you don't share what you're doing, right? Put your stuff out there, talk about it, show it. Yeah. What we talked about before.
Okay, Andrea asked the question about how to charge if a job only takes you 20 minutes. So you have that minimum charge we talked about a minute ago. Pamela says, I'm brand new to calligraphy and trying to figure out if this is a side hustle I want to pursue. And this has me excited, damn it. Good.
That is good. It's a great side hustle. Like it really is a great side hustle. You can, like it's a pen and paper at minimum. You can do it from anywhere. If you wanted to get onto the digital side of things, once we can travel again, you can create stuff on your iPad, and like it's such a great, accessible side hustle. And there's still lots of room in the industry for everybody here to jump in.
Okay, I think maybe 3 more questions, Joanne, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah,
This
for
one I
sure.
like, and I know that you have a good answer for this one. We talk about this in the
Okay.
course too, but Jade asked, how much would you charge for something small like one custom greeting card?
Oh gosh. Okay. So this is also where your minimum charge, needs to apply. Greeting cards are kind of funny because you can go into your, well, practically your dollar store these days and pick up a greeting card for $2, $3, $4, some fancy ones at like Indigo or Barnes and Noble for like
But
7 or 10.
if
But
the client wanted that, they would go get that.
exactly. So you can't compare what you are creating to a pre-printed, mass-produced greeting card. So I still think that custom original artwork on greeting cards should be considered custom original artwork. And your recipient might actually frame the card. So now it's even more qualified as art, right?
Mhm.
I actually have a friend who's been creating a card every day as part of a 100-day project. And people started asking her if they could buy them. So she started selling them. Can I tell this story, Becca?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So she started selling them for $10 a piece. And I thought that was a little low because they are original artwork with pen and ink and watercolors, and they're on beautiful archival paper, and she's using like artist quality
A little low.
paints and things. A
You say
little
that was
low,
a
yeah,
little,
for sure.
that's a lot
It's a
low.
lot low, yeah. So I told her she should be charging more like $25 a card. And these are on 5x7 cards and totally frameable. It's beautiful original artwork. So she was a bit flabbergasted at that rate, but she understood when I spoke to her about all the reasons behind it. Like each one takes her over an hour to do. So when you relate that original $10 to what her minimum hourly rate should be, which is probably closer to 30 or 40, right? With the time and the materials and the paper and the shipping and the time she spends on Instagram to post and market her cards, that $10 is not, it's nothing. It's nothing. So yeah, does that answer your question?
The answer is just that you cannot compare it to what you would buy at a
No,
store. They're
no,
not
it's
coming to you
original
for what
artwork.
they're not coming to you for what they would get at a store.
Yeah, yeah,
This is a really good question, and I think because you answered that one, I'll answer this one. Denise
sure.
asked, with some art projects, I feel like I don't work fast. How do I justify the time spent? So this is where there's a big debate, and there's a lot in the book about charging by the project or charging by the hour. Okay, so you're not always charging every project based on the number of hours, like only the number of hours that it takes you. You're going to estimate how many hours it would take you, but you're going to give the client a final, like a flat fee if you do it project based. And that means that you don't have to rush yourself to get through or to try not to take as many hours, if that makes sense. So it's not always that you have to charge exactly how many hours you take, especially when you're starting out. That can kind of be really tricky if it takes you a really long time.
I'm seeing a couple of questions about how to price for workshops or how to set up your own workshop practice sheets. There's a whole section in the book on pricing your workshops and also pricing for live events. So if you're performing at a live event, like I've done live lettering for events, I know some people do live engraving. So those things are covered in the course. And then Debbie asked if we have any information on how to create your own workshop practice sheets. That's, there you can use Canva to create practice sheets. Just think about what you would want to have as a printable in your workshop and just start from there and maybe test it on some friends.
And just to be clear, we don't cover in the course how to make your worksheets because we're just talking about pricing.
Pricing,
but you would want to
and
make
business
worksheets
stuff.
too.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, one more question, Joe. Do you see any
Yeah. Ooh, there's somebody in here who's asked several times, just says anonymous attendee, I'm a teen, I'm 15 years old. Do any of these rules change because I'm a teenager? And the question is absolutely not. If your skill and your talent, I mean, there are crazy talented kids out there. Absolutely not. And you have every right to start a business just as much as anybody else here at any age, at any point in the game. So nothing here changes for you. Your value is just as high as the next person's. Yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
Last
Oh
thing
my
on
gosh,
this
so
one,
many amazing questions.
Kim says, how do you make a tissue dance? I know the answer. Joe, do you know it?
I used to know it.
You put a boogie in it.
You put a boogie in it. Yes, that's so good. That's so good.
Okay,
Somebody
guys.
asked how they enter the giveaway. As long as you're here, the giveaway for the one-on-one or the two-on-one call, you have to go to panicfreepricing.com/win, right? And enter your name and email address.
Yeah.
And okay, so there were 74 questions. We clearly could not answer all of them right here. So
But guys, we can
yeah,
pretty much guarantee that they're all answered in the course.
yeah, a lot of them are answered in the FAQs for sure. Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. Guys, we
Whoa!
gotta
Oh my
end it
gosh.
somewhere. This was
Amazing.
so fun. And I
So
love seeing
fun.
your comments in here saying that this was helpful. Like,
Mhm.
we made this for you guys because you told us how
Yeah.
was your problem, and we really tried to come up with as many things we could pack into here as possible to help you feel
Mhm.
more confident. Honestly, if we can all be a little more confident, it's going to help all of us in the
All of
industry.
us.
No
Yeah,
matter
for
where
sure.
you are in that scheme of positioning yourself and pricing yourself, it's going to help
Mhm.
everybody along that line. So
Mhm.
thank you for actually being here and for listening to these tips, because you're already on a much better foot than a lot of people who are just getting started.
Amazing. So give us an emoji or some kind of indicator in the chat that you're going to go for it and you're ready to start your business. You're super excited and you're ready to go. Just one last input from you guys.
Smiley face, pen emojis.
Hearts. Amazing. Awesome. So good.
Guys,
So good.
thank you so much again for
Yes.
being here. We're so excited to see some of you in the course.
Yeah. Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody, so much. And we want to also thank Nicole and Kelsey in the back end for helping to manage the live stream and all the comments and questions and everything. So amazing. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you on Instagram. Remember to reach out to us. And we hope to see you in the Panic Free Pricing school.
Yeah, cool. I don't know how to end this. This is the real life watching a live happen. I don't know how to turn this off.
Dad joke. Bye, everybody. Dad joke exit.
Well, I can stop the share, but how do I stop the event? Okay. End meeting.
End broadcast.
Bye.
End meeting. Bye.